I love this video that you're about to see. It's America's dad, Bernard Sanders, arguing for Medicare for all. This is all the way back in 1991. Guys, I was 3 years old. I'm now 31 years old. I was 3 years old when Bernie was doing his thing and fighting for you and me.
Right now, instead of putting $100 billion a year into health care, into providing health care for the 80 million Americans who have no health insurance or only partially insured, we are wasting that money on billing, bureaucracy, red tape. So I am strongly in favor of a single-payer national health care system. As many Americans know, the president has recently indicated that he is going to study, quote-unquote, study the problem. Well, unfortunately, millions of our people will be suffering, going bankrupt. Some will be dying unnecessarily while we continue to, quote-unquote, study the problem. As you may know, the concept of national health care is not a terribly radical concept, despite what some of our colleagues may suggest. As I'm sure you know, in fact, there are only two nations in the entire world who in one way or another do not have a national health care system, and that is South Africa and the United States. And I would suggest that now that the African National Congress is free to function politically, the sad tragedy may be that South Africa may move forward with a national health care system, leaving this nation, the only nation on earth, without such a program. I should also mention to you, that the concept of national health care within our own country is not an idea that was developed last year or 2 years ago. Franklin Delano Roosevelt mentioned it during World War II. Harry Truman ran on it in 1948. And some people might suggest that 40 years of discussion is perhaps enough, and that the time might be now that we do the right thing, and we say to all of the American people that if you're an American citizen, you should be guaranteed all of the health care that you need.
Why is it that every time you watch an old video of Bernie Sanders, he's getting something exactly correct? And every time you watch an old video of other politicians who've been in the game about as long as him, they're getting stuff dead wrong. Dead wrong. Whether it's Hillary, the Iraq War, NAFTA, whether it's Biden, the Iraq War, working with segregationists to be against desegregated busing, crime, over-the-top support of cracking down on the drug war, escalating the drug war, increasing the drug war, floating the death penalty for drug dealers. He was one of the most rigid, tough-on-crime people. I mean, it really is something else where it's a virtual guarantee. Anytime you watch a video of him from back in the day, he's taking the brave, bold position that at the time nobody was taking and nobody was talking about. Guys, he signed an executive order in 1983. I think was he the mayor of Burlington at the time? I think so. Where he recognized LGBTQ Pride Day. 1983. Go look at the polls in 1983 about, people's feelings on gay marriage, for example. You will see a country that was deeply, deeply hostile to LGBTQ rights and equality. And he was on the record saying, no, I have the correct position and I'm going to stand for it. And I'll argue for you. Want to argue with me? Fine, let's argue. Let's argue about it. I'll tell you why I'm right. I'll tell you why these people deserve equal rights and justice and freedom. 99% chance you go back and watch any video of Bernie Sanders and you're going to be like, oh my God, he was fighting on the right side of this when nobody else was. It really is amazing, man. Don't go for the scummy, opportunistic politician who's just always going with what are the political wins at the time? Go with the person who has deep moral convictions. And, by the way, happens to line up with the majority of the American people as well on most issues today. So you get the best of both worlds. He's deeply principled, and he has these convictions, and he fought for them even when it wasn't popular. And also today, he happens to be the majority opinion with most of the American people. Most of the American people agree with him on all these different issues. So, need I say any more? All I got to do is show the shirt. All I got to do is show the shirt. That's your answer right there, baby.